Alright. So first thing, we will write a class. So for sending email through Visualforce and Apex, we'll have to again, there's something which is not available with the standard controller. So obviously we'll have to create a custom controller. So we'll create a class for the controller. Okay. And then we'll go and create the Visualforce page and put the components there. All right. So let's get started with creating the class. Just go to setup, develop Apex class. Click on new. All right. Public class, call it emailing class, whatever name, just give it a name. Okay. Now a few variables that I need for this class. I said that for sending mail, what all I need? I need a button that will send the mail. That is one thing. Okay, so I will definitely need a page reference. So now you start understanding things in this way. That for on the Visualforce page, what will we need? We need subject input. We need body. We need a button, and we need on the Visualforce page on the front end. What do we need? We need this some space where we can enter the subject line for the mail, where we can enter the body for the mail, button to send the mail to initiate the action, and recipients. So you'll have to work on how do you want to get the recipients. You want to have fixed set of recipients, or you want to give some option of searching the recipient. So that completely depends on you. So these are the primary things which I will have on my Visualforce page. So for all these things, I just need to make some arrangement in the class. Either come up with a get method or a page reference method for the button. So we just have to think about that, right? All right, so we start with a string. So subject should be string, right? Call it subject. Okay. Email body should also be string. Email body. So two variables, right? Subject and email body. That's there. So that part is okay. Now apart from this, what else I need? I need a method for sending the mails, right? So method for sending mails is going to be the page reference method.
Jeet, I can't able to see your screen.
Can you see my screen now? Hello? Okay. Do we see the notepad or the code screen? Can we see the Apex? Okay, great. So just that we have defined two strings here, right? So subject is going to be a string. Email body is also going to be string. Okay, so two strings I've defined. Next, I am going to define a method. Microphones on mute, please, everyone. All right. So I am going to define a page reference method for sending the mail. All right. The button on which I will click. So that button needs to have some action, right? So that action will come from the page reference method, the way we have been doing so far. So I'll create a page reference method. Public page reference. All right. And call it send email, or just send. Let it be this. Okay. So this is where we just have to go and define the emailing part. Okay, so for sending emails, there is a predefined class which is called messaging class. Okay, you can get the details of messaging class. So there is a predefined class. So this is a default class which has been created by Salesforce. So Salesforce has a lot of these kind of things. Create classes which are already there. So messaging class is one of these classes, and there are some predefined methods inside it. All right. So I'm going to use this messaging class for sending mails. All right.
Hi, Jeet.
Mm-hmm.
Can we read through one of the message content to understand what does each heading kind of means, and if you can spend like a minute on it?
No, sorry. Tell me again. What is that?
Can we just take one of the methods and just walk
We
us
are
through
actually, I'll use that. I'll not spend 1 minute. I'll spend the entire session on that. So we are going to use that, right? So this is just showing you the reference. All right. So this messaging class has certain methods. Okay. So this is the link. All right. So where you get, so the same way there are a lot of, these kind of pre-built classes which have few methods, right? So we call them like for messaging class, there are just few methods inside that. So while you're calling that method, you should call it by saying messaging dot whatever method name. Okay. So this is how there are a lot of classes which are there already in Salesforce. So gradually, more you start using Apex, you will get to know about these things, right? So we are going to use this messaging class, right? So this messaging class and all the methods are listed on this. So if you just go to Google and type in messaging class Salesforce, and you will find this link, and it will have all these methods inside it which are listed. Okay. So what we are going to use is we are going to use, see, these are the messaging methods: send email method and send email message. All right. So these are there. So in this, there is one thing called a single email message. Okay, there's a method called single email message. That is what we are going to use. All right. So what we will do is we'll define a single email message. Messaging dot single email message. Okay, and call it anything, call it email, equals messaging dot single email message. Okay, so the single email message is new single email message. The single email message is for sending an email, one single email. All right, so I will call this for sending the emails. I will call this email thing. Okay, this is a variable which I have defined. Got it? Now for this, because this is a single email message which I have defined, I have to also define certain things for this single email, the email which is being sent. Is it fine now? Single email message. Yes. So let me make it capital E. Makes things makes life easier for me. All right. Okay. So this messaging class, using this and using the single email method, you can define an instance of that email. Okay. Now you have to define the subject and body of that. Okay. So if you go into this method further, messaging is the class. This is the method. Okay. Further, if you get into this, the single email messages thing, messaging dot single email message Salesforce you type this single email message method, inside that you will see that you have few more options available, right? So like you can set the BCC address, who do you want to send the mail to, the subject line, and the to address, all those stuff can be done, right? So there are further methods inside that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the subject. If you look in here, set subject, and it should always we should always pass on a string here. So my subject is coming from here, right? So this is the string which I'm going to pass. So I will say email dot, just try to understand how this is being done, right? Set subject, and what is the string that I'm going to use? This subject. Correct. So this subject will be set as the subject line for this email. Clear? So this single email message, which is called email, which I want to send, for that I have set the subject line. The same way I'll need to set the email body also. So setting the email body is same way. You just go and say email dot set plain text body. You can see it from here. Yeah, it's called set plain text body. The text version of the email will be set. All right. And it also requires you to supply a parameter which is going to be the email body. So take it from here, pass it on here. All right. Now what we have to do, we also have to supply the to address. So subject is set. If we go back to this notepad, what were we talking about? We'll supply the subject line, so it will pick the subject line from here. We'll supply the body, email body content, it will pick it from here. Button we are creating. Recipient, who's going to receive that email? So that needs to be defined. So keep it very simple. I mean, we are not going to make it complex here. You can get the recipient from anywhere. You can write a SQL query, you can do anything for that. I'll just try to keep this thing simple. We will put a static email ID here. Okay, now let's not get into writing a SQL query or something like that for that. So what we will do, subject we have set, plain text body we have set. We have to set a to address, right? So what we are going to do, we are just going to write a to address for the email. So email dot to addresses, it's to addresses, and contact Jeet Singh at gmail.com. Okay, so these two addresses only will accept list of strings, because this is addresses. Okay, so this does not accept a single string. So for that, what we are going to do, we will just define one more list of string and pass on that email address to that string. Okay, so how do we do that? We know how to create a list, and then how to supply the value to it. So we should just go ahead and say, either you define it like this, list of string emails equals new list of string. So this thing I think we have done during our first session. And then you can just say emails dot add contact Jeet Singh at gmail.com, right? So this way you can add more. this can be called here.
Hi, Jeet.
Mm-hmm.
So are we with emails dot add and declaring it as a, I mean, what are we trying to do there? Is it like, was the error, are we declaring the?
We are trying to add this to the list.
That I know. Okay, I understand. But why are we going the list route? I mean, I didn't understand that.
Because this accepts only list. Because this two addresses, it always have to, you see string list, a list of email addresses. It will, the data type that it will accept is a list only. Okay, it will not accept a single string. Like subject line can be a single string. If you see here, the set subject is a string. You understand between, difference between a list of string and a string, right? This is a string and this is a list of strings. So this method accepts only list of values, because most of the times these email addresses will be in a list collection of email addresses. So that is the reason why they only accept this one. That is the reason why instead of using one string, I have made this data type into list of string. Correct? Like subject line can be only a string, email body can be string. So which all methods will accept string and which will accept a list of string, that is given here. Got it?
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Now there is a small problem. So what is the problem? Emails contact Jeet Singh parenthesis. Stop. Add. Okay. Two addresses. Is the spelling correct? Okay. Should we set two addresses? Sorry. All right. So for email, three primary things which need to be defined. Subject line, we have set the subject line. Plain text body, we have set it. Set to address, that also we have set. Fine. That's there. All right. If you want, you can make subject line static. You can define it here, or if you want, you can use an input field and input text and set the value from there. So use a set method. All right. So if you want a static subject line, you put it here. If you want the subject line and the email body to be provided by the end user, then you should use the get set method. So that's there. For my messaging class, I have defined my single email message, which is called email. We could have called it anything. I have set the subject line, email body, and the email for it, right? So everything is almost done. Returnal, why I have written a returnal? Because it's a page reference method and it needs to return something. Till the time you do not return anything, it's not gonna work. All right. So this part is done, right? Now the next thing that I'll have to do is, just give me a minute. Okay. Now what we'll have to do, we just have to use this send email result. Okay. Code messaging.send email result or send email new single message. Sends a list of email objects initiated with either single email message. Messaging.email. बताते हैं तो अच्छा लगता है टॉक अबाउट तो साला एग्जाम्पल ही वही है मेरा एक महीना सारे उसी पर बात करूँगा Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, so far we are done with setting up the values for the email. Okay, so for this we have used this object single email message, right, in which we set up everything for the email. Now there is another object which we need to call, or just think of it as another method which I'll have to call for sending the mail. Okay, so this is just for setting the values. The single email message, this object is only used for setting the values. Okay, now what I'll have to do, I just have to go and send the mails actually. So for sending mail we will use messaging dot send email result. Send email result. Okay, and because there can be multiple emails, so it has to be a list, and you say messaging dot send email new messaging dot single email message. So I want to send a single email message. Which one? This email, right? So this, which single email message I want to send? I want to send this one. So I should say this. Right. So this is the syntax for it. So which single email message? Email. So now this method is gonna send the mail actually. Okay, the send mail method is gonna send the mail, and it will use the email method which you have defined. So the subject line, to address, and plain text body will be taken from here. So we are just using two predefined classes or methods in the messaging class. The class we have used is just one messaging class, and inside that I have used say single email message for setting the value for the email that we're going to send, and send email result for sending the mail actually. That's it, and it returns null, which means it will bring you back to the same page. All right, please let me know if there is any question or doubt. So that's it. Now there are a few small things which we will need to do in this class. One is I have not given a subject line here. Okay, so if you don't want to supply the subject line here, then make it a get set kind of a method which can get the subject line on the page itself, right? Okay, so this makes it a get set method variable. Okay, so I can get the value of this variable on the page, as well as I can set the value of this variable from the page. All right, that is what it means. Email ID I have to supply. I'm almost done with everything. The only thing is I will have to supply email ID. Emails.add equals expecting right curly bracket found this. Why is it so? No. Just give me 1 second. There is some syntax error that I'm making here. List.add. 1 minute. Huh? Okay, so I've just added it. So just leave this part. I've just added it in the first line itself, the email ID. All right. So if you have multiple values, you know, the way we have seen it earlier, that how we put the value into the list. If you have multiple values, you can just put commas and, you know, put those values here also. I just have one email ID in the list. Okay, I'll just go with this. So the subject line ready, email body ready, emails ready, single email message. So we have set everything for the single email message. Messaging result, messaging dot send email result, that's there. The code is absolutely okay. Right now you can make changes wherever you want. You want to, you know, fetch the email ID from a certain contact, you can do that. You can set you want to set a certain you know, static subject line, you can do that. So we'll just go with this. Let's now go ahead and create the Visualforce page. Please let me know if anyone has a question here. Just have a quick look onto this, and then we will move into creating the Visualforce page. We are all okay on this? All right. Now let's just go and create a Visualforce page for this. So my Visualforce page needs to have what all things? What all do I need on the Visualforce page? Anyone? What all should be there in the Visualforce page? So first of all, what should be the controller for the page? It should be a custom controller, right? So use the custom controller, take the name of the controller from here. Yeah, it's not could be live. Yeah, you can see my page here, right? So now what do we need here? I just need three things. One is an input text area, or input text rather, for the subject line. Okay. One is, we can start with a page block and stuff like that. So let me put a apex form component, which will be required because I'm using input text. Let's put a page block, apex page block, title sending email from VF page. Okay, so I have put an input text field here. Okay, I'll call it once. I'll put input text area as well. Input text area is for the email body. Let me take the name from here. Hello, can you hear me? Let me get the use that one.